Clovelly is mainly a herring port, or was mainly a herring port. Nearly every fisherman that worked out here were a herring man. Clovelly herring was a famous product around the area here. Everyone knew the cry of the Clovelly herring when it came around, and my grandfather and that, they used to work on the sailing ships away, but they would come back for the herring season, like many men did. Herring fishing was what kept Clovelly going. Clovelly was built on the herring, and the Picaruna, which is the main Clovelly herring boat, it used to fill the bay here. There was over 80 boats used to work from this harbour on its own, so it was a very important aspect. So keeping that tradition alive is part of why I do it. I enjoy it because it's an easy way of fishing. I fish sustainably. I don't use an engine. I row or sail out there. We drift on the tides. What we catch is sold locally within the local area. I don't believe in sending it away and getting next to nothing for it. So we try and increase the value of the product by selling it locally if we can. And it said, the fact that my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my father, we're all 6 generations of us have all been herring fishermen, makes it important to me to keep it going.
What appeals the most is literally you can go 10 minutes from Oban and you're probably getting into some remoter areas that not everyone's been to, but you can go a few hours out of Oban, you can go up the Sound of Mull, you can go around the west side of Mull, and you're out in the wild, really. There's not many people can be there. You can go then start exploring the whole west coast, the whole of this area, and you can see whales 30 minutes an hour from Oban. You can see them all the way up. You never know what you're going to see. You can see vast flocks of birds. You can see rare birds, the storm petrels. You can see basking sharks. You can see different types of dolphins, from the bottlenose, the common dolphin, to the white-beaked dolphin. You can see whales, seals. There's a massive amount to offer, and also the scenery itself, it changes every day. Many Highland harbours, they say the whole of the west coast of Scotland, and in this area in particular, you're never within more than 15 miles from a safe haven.
There are a myriad of different issues for the southwest. Obviously, tourism is a singular, a key industry for the area. So, tourism relies on the marine environment, on clean, healthy beaches, on clean oceans, to sell itself as a destination. Who wants to come to a beach that's not got a blue flag or has not got a very good or an excellent, water quality rating? But at the same time, you've got significant industries around the southwest, not least of which in Plymouth, in terms of the manufacturing and the defence industries. You've got a growing marine renewable sort of sector in Cornwall and up in North Devon, and you've got lots of various other small, medium-sized enterprises that make a living either directly or indirectly from the marine environment. So there's a whole, it's not possible to say this is singularly the most important issue. There are lots of different issues, but if you had to say there was one, it would probably be tourism.
My first encounter with a whale on the west coast of Scotland when I first moved here was from a watching point just a couple of miles up the road here. So there's a big hill, basically, quite far away actually from the coastline, but it has absolutely spectacular views, like 360-degree views of the kind of Sound of Mull going down one side, the Sea of Hebrides in front of you. You can see Colin Tyree, you can see Arden and Merkin. It's absolutely amazing. And I was watching at sunset these minke whales they're very far away at this point, but just surfacing as the sun was setting, and behind me there were stags roaring. It was so incredibly kind of quintessentially Scottish and just magical. And so there was a few people up there, and we were able to show some of the people who were just popping up for the view these animals, and it was it was a pretty nice introduction to living here.
I don't think it's important for our identity. It's who we are. I mean, that is who we are. You know, we're not. That is our identity, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
it's who we are. That's it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not part of it.
His,
It's
his
that.
nickname is actually the whale rider because he recently disentangled a whale that was quite tricky because it was so tightly bound in Devon, and he went up and he was hanging off a fishing boat for a very long time, a number of hours, and eventually decided the only way to do it was to actually step forward onto it and cut it free, and he did. And the feeling of that and the amount of people that contacted us afterwards thanking him, it was just like, but it's just what we do, it's what we are, and the people that we work with, it's not just us. So the people that come on our boat doing surveys, certainly they're repeatedly going to these places and they have that same passion. So it's not just us, it's a whole family of teams of people that are doing this. Yeah.
I grew up in a village here, but the farm I lived on was right on the Sound of Jura. So this was I woke up to the view of the north part of the Sound of Jura and the north part of the Isle of Jura every morning, or at least on the days that were like this and I could see it. And I learned to sail in Loch Sween, which is a sheltered, well-known sheltered sea loch in Knapdale in Mid-Argyll. And it was a maritime community. It was a very small resident population, maybe 150, but it swelled to over 1,000 in the summer months because there were a lot of, there were 2 holiday parks with residential caravans, and there were a number of holiday properties. So there was the same community of kids that you would see every summer and all summer, you know. So it was hugely popular with recreational boaters even before I was born, and has continued. And I suppose what appeals to me about this particular part of the world is the ease with which you can get to other places. The sailing can be as challenging as you want it to be. Very rarely is a combination of wind and tide in your favour, but there are so many safe havens, so many anchorages, so many interesting places, beautiful places, and interesting communities, and interesting people, and helpful and friendly people, wherever you go up and down this coast, that actually I wouldn't really want to sail anywhere else.